Hello folks, Lakey Bloke here, how we doing? Welcome to another edition of Homebrew Wednesday type things. Now you'll have to forgive me today, as you always do. I'm in the kitchen at the moment and it's a little bit noisy, dishwasher's on, so you'll have to forgive the sound. However, I should be in crystal clear clarity because I've got a digital camera rather than using the phone because it's playing up a bit. Anyway, the purpose of this week's Homebrew Wednesday, folks, is thus. Some time ago, about 2 months ago, maybe even longer, maybe even 3 months ago, I decided to do a bit of a cider experiment. Now the reason for this cider experiment is because I've had quite a lot of people asking me what difference it makes to add tannin and malic acid and pectolase into their turbo ciders. Okay, now I could only advise by my experience, and my experience up to that time, although I hadn't done any controlled experiments, was that there wasn't really much in it. And when I say there wasn't much in it, it was quite difficult to distinguish between tastes, you know, of a cider that has pectolase and malic acid, tannin in, to one that has not got all that stuff in. So I've decided to do a controlled experiment, folks. Yes, it's controlled experiments time. Now, on my little piece of paper here, I've got down exactly what I did, so I'm just going to read that out to you, folks. Forgive me why my eye line is down here. Now, the first batch of cider I did, now these were 2 batches of cider done in 2 demijohns of the same size, your normal bog standard 4.5 litre demijohns. The first batch, with the additions, is 3 litres of Vitafit apple juice from Lidl's, 2 litres of Asda Chosen by You apple juice, 1 litre of which was added after 3 days because of the froth and foam at the top, a teaspoon of tannin, a teaspoon of pectolase, 2 teaspoons of lemon juice to give it some acidity. I didn't have any malic acid lying around, but lemon juice is fine. A teaspoon of yeast nutrient and 1 teaspoon of Nottingham Ale yeast. Now I used Nottingham Ale yeast because I had some lying around and it needed to be used up, and also I've used Nottingham Ale yeast before in ciders and it's come out okay. Each of these controlled experiments was back sweetened with 1 teaspoon of stevia per 500 ml bottle. Now I've got 2 bottles here, as you can see. As you can see, folks, they're both completely different. But on the top there, I've written CE1, and on that one, CE2. CE stands for controlled experiment. Okay. So what we're going to do is, in 2 identical glasses, folks. Glass 1 over here, glass 2 over here. Glass 2 over here will have the CE2 in. Glass 1 over here will have the CE1. Can you see that? CE1. So let's open up the CE1 bottle. There's some fizz on there, which is good. That's what I like. Not too much, but enough. Now these glasses are not carbonated. They don't have the engraving at the bottom of the glass, so there won't be any of that nucleation going on. So the fizz that you see will be the fizz that you get without any help from any sort of funny glass. So up close, what does that look like, folks? Well, that doesn't look too bad, does it? It's a little bit cloudy, and there's quite a bit of carbonation in there, which is fine. So I'm just going to put that down there for now, and I'm going to open up bottle number 2. Oh. Pour it into this glass again. I'm not pulling any tricks here, folks. I'm being completely honest with you. I'm just pouring this away as we go. Again, into exactly the same type of glass with no nucleation. Whoop, no nucleation at all. So that will do for our experiment. There's glass 2. Now, immediately, I don't know if you can see that, I've noticed there's not much fizz on that one when compared to this one. And bizarrely enough, I think the two, hello, I think the two do look slightly different. Now the one on the left, this one here, has got the additions in. The one on the right, this one here, has got no additions at all, folks. Yet this one, to me at least, seems to be a lot clearer than this one. Even this far back you can see the colour difference, can't you, folks? So this one is cloudy, but then it's bound to be a little bit darker because we put some of that wine tannin in. So we'll take that into consideration. You know, the tannin powder can be a little bit clumpy and it does leave some sort of darkness with it. This hasn't got the same amount of carbonation either. So we're going to do a little taste test now, folks. The one on the left is the one with the additions, remember. So let me just have a little bit of a sniff and I'll tell you what I smell. There's some appleness in there. You can smell the alcohol. It's not too bad. It's got that turbo cider smell to it, which you get with all turbo ciders, unless you're using liquid yeasts. The liquid yeasts tend to disguise that smell somewhat, because they're more expensive probably. Okay, so let's give it a little sip. Okay, so even with the teaspoon of stevia in there, it's still quite sharp. It's not great, folks. It's okay. It's a poor man's turbo cider, really. The Nottingham yeast, has it left any sort of flavours in there? I don't think so. That's the dishwasher making that noise, by the way, folks. That gurgling sound is not me. It's not my stomach. It's the dishwasher. Honest gov. Okay, so out of 10, and I'm going to try and score these independently. Okay, so out of 10, I'm going to give this one, for a turbo cider, of course, I'm probably going to give it a 6. It's okay, it's nothing great. I'm not that bothered by it. I would drink it if I didn't have anything else lying around, but it doesn't excite me. So let's try number 2. Now remember, this has no additions, and I'll just read off of the piece of paper I have in front of me. All it's got in there is 3 litres of VitaFit apple juice. Remember, it's the same juice as what's in this one here. 2 litres of Asda chosen by you apple juice, and a litre of which was added after 3 days as per the previous batch. A teaspoon of yeast nutrient and 1 teaspoon of Nottingham yeast. So this doesn't have any tannin in, it hasn't got any pectolase in, it hasn't got any lemon juice in. So I'm expecting this one to be slightly less tart. Hello. What was that? Than the other one. So let's have a little smell. Okay, so there isn't as much of a smell with this one, folks. There is a slight appleness. I can't really... The alcohol is not there in this one, which is strange to me. Let me just compare it to this one. Yeah, this one smells a lot stronger than this one. It shouldn't do, it's not stronger in alcohol, it's exactly the same, folks. So let's give it a taste. Now that is misleading, really, because it doesn't look that fizzy, does it, folks? But on the tongue, it sort of pops with fizzness. Now I'm trying to find a means of explaining how I feel about this particular one. I would say it's a little less sharp in taste than the first batch, which for me is a good thing. I don't like the Turbo Ciders too sharp. There is a hint of aftertaste there as well. There's some apples that are left on the tongue after the drink has gone down your throat. I can still taste it, which is also a good thing. And it's quite fizzy, which is very strange because it doesn't look fizzy in the glass at all, does it? Look, there's some fizz going up there, folks, but not as much as that one. See that? And yet this one feels fizzier on the tongue. Very strange. However, it does have, in the mouthfeel gives a slight alcohol hit, which I think the sharpness in this one covers up. So what I have to do is try and balance that in my scores. This one I prefer over this one. So the one on the right here, sorry about that, these are fizzy, folks. This one here I prefer to this one here, which is very strange because this has all the additions in. It's supposed to produce a better cider. But of course, at the end of the day, it's all down to preference, folks, isn't it? You guys out there might try exactly the same experiment and find that you prefer the one with the additions. However, I've got to give this one slightly more. I'm not saying it's miles apart from this one, because it isn't. This will get a 6.5, this will get a 6. So there's not a lot in it, really. I hope you found that worthwhile. I found it worthwhile, certainly, because, you know, it's always been quite difficult to answer the question, why do I need to put tannin in, and why do I need to put malic acid in, and why do I need to put pectolase in? Now, you know, the bog standard answers for those are, you need to put tannin in because apples naturally produce tannin, which is not readily produced in the supermarket juices. The answer to why do I need to put pectolase in is, well, you don't really. You put pectolase in if you're going to be adding fruit, but a lot of the time you chuck it in anyway just to try and clear the brew down, which it hasn't done in this case. Look, that one's darker, but I think that's because there's tannin in this, and the powdered tannin is darker than is dark, and it produces that sort of darkness. I think this colour is a lot better. It's a lot clearer. It looks really good, doesn't it, compared to that one? That one looks a little bit murky. This is more like a sort of scrumpy, I guess. This one is more like a sort of supermarket cider, you know, which is great. I'm not saying it's as good as a supermarket cider, because it's difficult to compare a supermarket cider against a you know, a turbo, really. Oh, that sync's going off again, folks. Honestly, it's not me. So, and what's the other thing we throw in there? Malic acid. Now, apples naturally produce malic acid, and again, in supermarket juice you don't necessarily get the acidity you need, so you chuck a teaspoon of malic acid in per gallon to reproduce that acidity. What you're trying to do essentially is recreate what you would get if you were using real apples, I guess, and I'm not entirely convinced that you can do that successfully. I think if you want to get that as close as to real apples as you can, then use real apples. Yeah, if you're gonna go the whole hog, then do it properly. I don't happen to have, you know, kilos of apples lying around. I haven't got an apple tree. Some of you are lucky to have apple trees, I'm sure. I don't have that, so I have to go with what I get in the supermarket. And I think what I've learned is that the additions aren't necessary, folks. What I don't know yet is how different these two drinks will taste, bing, in about 3 to 6 months' time. Now, it may well be, because of the additions, this brew will taste better in the long run than this brew without the additions, but obviously I don't know that yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave those 2 batches of cider for another 3 months, and I'm going to come back and do another taste test on them, and we'll see whether time has made any difference at all, folks. There you go, you see. We like to do experiments, folks, don't we? It's all good fun. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this little experimenty poos that we've done here. I hope you've got something from it. I don't know what, but I'm sure you've got something from it. I've got to go away and drink these 2 ciders because I don't like waste, folks. What I wanted to do is just show you what's going on in the shed, the brewing shed. That is my conservatory. It's not really a shed, is it? So I'm just going to cut myself off here, folks, but I'll be back. Okay guys, so here we are in the kitchen, and what we've got in here is around about 15 litres of cider. Now this is made up from Waitro's apple juice. It's got no additions in there other than yeast nutrient. And over here what I did was I made up a litre starter from a Y yeast smack pack. Yeah, as you can see there's still some of the, it frothed up like a mother, and it went up really well. So that's basically gone in there, and hopefully that will produce a really nice brew. And out here in the Conservatory of Doom, we've got another cider batch. That's a 10 litre batch, just over 10 litres, and that's got more or less the same as the other batch that I've just shown you. However, this one, ding, has got the additions in. So it's got the pectolase, it's got the malic acid, and it's got the what's the other thing we throw in there? Pectolase, malic acid, and something else that I can't remember. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Tannin, thank you, Roy. Yes, it's got some tannin in there as well. Hello folks, we're back in the lounge area where I like to lounge. Just really wanted to finish off this week's video. Hope you've got something from it and you found it worthwhile. As I said, it's something I've been wanting to do for a while because it's, you know, I'm always asked through running this Turbo Cider group on Facebook, what's the difference, you know, in adding some tannin or malic acid? And wherever you go, you'll get different answers. I've yet to get any solid evidence, and that's what it's all about, folks, isn't it? Evidence that putting in tannin and malic acid and pectolase will clear and improve your turbo ciders. From what we've just done, the experiment we've just done, it's clear to me that it doesn't really make much difference at all. So take from that what you will. As I've said, I've shown you the ciders. You can see with your own eyes the difference, aesthetically at least. Obviously you can't taste them. You may think completely different to me. It's all a personal choice, and that's what homebrewing's all about, folks. If you want to have a go yourself, please go away and do it and let us know the results. Leave some messages below here on the Facebook group. Give me the thumbs up, subscribe. Up in the top right hand corner, I think it is subscribe. Press the button and I can carry on doing these videos. You know, if I don't get any likes or any subscriptions and things, then all of this really is a bit useless. Most of the time I do these things for me, but occasionally I'll throw in the odd curveball just to answer some of your questions, and this has been a really good one, I think, because it's, as I say, it's something that people ask me all the time and I get bored of answering. So what I can do now is just point them towards this video. All good, isn't it? Hope you have a good week, blokes. and girls, of course, if there's any girlies watching this. I can't imagine there is, but if there is, hello. Yeah, have a great week, and I'll see you on the next video. There may be a brew review between now and then, folks. Don't know as yet, see how the week takes us. But in the meantime, see you next week. Have a good one. Ta-da for now.